Okay, cool. All right. All right. Let me see. Meeting controls. All right. See you guys. Okay. So you guys mind if we get started, or it's 5 minutes in?
No, it sounds good.
All right. All right. So I think everyone, I see a lot of familiar names, so I'm not going to go into my standard intro. Yeah, so we had, just you know, Luis and I were talking about the GLA Summit. That was a global LabVIEW Architect Summit that was on Monday or Tuesday, I believe. I think it was on Tuesday, maybe on Monday. But they're going to be posting, and I'll post it in our forum link, so it's kind of advanced topics in LabVIEW that might be of interest. Also, NI is having a automotive event. I think I posted about it in our forum. So if you're interested in that, I've never participated in one of those, so I don't know what it's going to be like or what they're going to do. So, but I thought that might be of interest to the group.
I just participated in the defense one. The defense one was Wednesday.
Yep. How was that?
So most of the presentations that were there were put on by NI. There were a handful of presentations, very few, like 1 to 3, that were put on by partners, but most of them were put on by NI. And it's, you know, kind of like a sales pitch, you know, it's introducing you to technology, at least what it was. But the other thing that they had was that after the presentations, or which they kind of correlate to after the presentations, they open up like a meeting room where you can get together and talk, where it's a free form. So I joined 1 or 2 of those and made some good contacts at NI with issues that I had. So that was what my takeaway was. But you might also be able to meet other people in the automotive community too, or, you know, for the next one. So
yeah, thanks. That's awesome. Thanks for that input, Dave. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I missed it. The beginning of this week was kind of crazy because there was a couple other things I wanted to do too, and I just didn't get to it, unfortunately. That's cool. So yeah, and then what else? Here, I'll just go to my website. It's all on there. Let's see. All right, so put some stuff on here. Oh yeah, the Rockwell Automation at Home Fair, that looks neat. And then yeah, so the 19th is the NI Automotive Exchange. So I have the links here so you can register if you're interested.
I believe that's it's the 18th. Not sure. No, I'm confused.
You're probably right. I probably put it in wrong. All right, I will change that.
I have to check again.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'll go in and change that. Well, let's just it should take us to the link.
have you attended the Rockwell one in the past? I use Rockwell PLCs and stuff, so I got that notification also, but I've never attended that.
I have not. Yeah, so it's the 8th. Oh, it is the 18th. You're right.
Yeah, it's the 18th. I got 18th also.
Okay. Maybe I did the China one. Okay. I'll update that on my website. Thank you for pointing that out. What were we talking about? Oh, the Rockwell Exchange. No, it looks really neat. I've never ever participated in something like that. I'm kind of looking forward to checking that out because I don't know a lot about Rockwell stuff and I kind of want to learn more about it. So I'm really interested in that. So cool. All right, moving on. So today I wanted to just talk about like LabVIEW tools that I use and like that I use / that are really popular in the LabVIEW community. So I redid the library portion on my website. Hopefully it's a little more useful. And I went through all the links and made sure they're updated and added stuff, removed stuff. So I'm just going to talk about this section of LabVIEW add-ons. You know, and that's kind of what the scope and the format will be for this presentation. So first one is a unit tester I developed. Oops. I don't know. There's a lot of people are kind of excited about unit testing, and I don't know. It sounded like a good idea, and so I looked into it, and I learned a lot. I'm just gonna save this off here real quick. I learned a lot, and I'll share my thoughts. So with unit testing, you can get really crazy with it. What I found is whenever you create a test, you have to maintain that test. You have to maintain the code for that test. If you create too many tests, your test code now becomes large and hard to maintain. And then you're less likely to run your unit tests because it's pain. So and then using the other tools that are out there, there's JKI Unit Tester, which I found to be slow, and I didn't like. It was just slow, unusably slow. They might have speeded it up since I've used it, but at the time it was super slow. And then the NI Unit Tester, which was again really, really slow. And then I just didn't like the workflow of it. So basically, the NI Unit Tester is you create a VI and then you just put in the inputs and outputs, and it was just, I didn't like working like that. So you know, that was kind of my. And then there's Caria by JKI too. I think that's how it's pronounced. I haven't played around with that one because I kind of got fed up, so I just made my own. And it's been working good for me, you know, like it's like I don't have a ton of unit tests. Like I only test, like I'll create a class and like I really only, you know, test kind of the public methods pretty much. You know, I'll just make like either 1 or 2 test VIs that kind of test all the public and private methods, you know, and then that's about it. And that kind of does what I want. Maybe I'll create a couple of test cases that, you know, that I want to kind of make sure if something changes over time, I want to be able to monitor it and make sure that it still works. So, you know, I don't have a ton of unit tests for every project. You know, I do create a few, but it's not a lot. And it seemed to be working for me. I catch bugs, you know, but the one thing I also found with unit testing is you can't really test user interface stuff. So, I mean, that's still, you have to manually go through and do that. I haven't figured out a way to get around that, but maybe there isn't a way, but you know, that's kind of my 2 cents on that. So my unit tester, you know, you just come in here, say new, you install it. I got it approved for the NI Tools Network. So, you know, just come in here and there's a template that I have. It just creates a template. All I'm doing is I'm just looking for VIs that have this bookmark. So this AST unit test bookmark. And then all you do is just either you just wire in a VI. So, you know, like I'll just have does 1 equal 1. I just wire it to the pass. So it also checks if there's any errors too. So it checks to see if this Boolean is true and if there's no errors. And if it does, it says, okay, test pass. And then to run it, I'm just gonna save this off. And it's already installed, so I could come in here, the unit tester, boom, fires up. It finds everything in the project, so it's right here, and I just say run test, and boom. Super, super fast. Just to show there's nothing up my sleeve. If I come right here in the unit tester, I hit go, it fails. And then you can double click on it. It takes you right to the offending VI. And what I like about this too is I can come in here and run it separately without any harness on it. So I can just sit here and go, okay, you know, run it till this is passed. I can close it out, say whatever, run the test, boom. So, I mean, it works really well for me. You know, so here you can just run one, so you can run one or multiple selected tests. You can just, you know, select the test. Abort is sending out a hard abort to everything. New, you can create a new test from this API, and then you can add a test that maybe the tester didn't pick up from the project. Remove, obviously you can remove it from the tester. Refresh is like, oh, if something, you know, it wants to look in the project again, you know, just refresh this list. Save, I just save off the test results as a text file. So I just did that for, in case someone wanted like proof that you ran the unit tester or whatever. And then I have a nice help, you know, in here that I made. So, you know, it's pretty slick. I use help and doc to make this. So it's, you know, I tried to make it pretty easy to use. So that's that. So, you know, that's kind of my thing on unit testing and what I use for unit testing. And, you know, it's been useful. I've, you know, but it's not like this, it hasn't like, you know, been this awesome thing. I mean, it's been very useful, but it's, you know, you talk to people and they're like, oh, unit testing will like, you know, make your code super, you know, much better. It has increased the quality of my code, but it hasn't, you know, you still have to do a lot of manual testing, and, you know, there's going to be bugs. And so, I mean, it's been helpful, but it's not the end all be all. So any questions on that or concerns or thoughts?
Can you explain, like, you said that the other two examples you gave, you know, the JKI and the NI one were slow.
Mm-hmm.
What makes them slow? I'm assuming there's some more dynamic things that they're doing, or what
I have no idea. Like, and this was years ago, so I don't know if the speeds has improved. I mean, it was painfully slow. I mean, it was just like, in my opinion, unusably slow. And there's a lot of noise on the forums to that fact. I mean, just running the unit test, like, it took forever. Like,
so
like,
do you set it up like the same way where you have to create the tests like it's its own VI, or?
No, just like running so if you just come in here and say run so this is the NI unit test framework stuff. We could just run one really quick.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done. It's one of the things to look into is unit testing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, is see, it's not even bringing up super. Here we go.
Yeah,
So,
I was reading the other day in one of Sam Taggart's blogs. He doesn't recommend using NI. The only way that what's the word for that? The only reason why in the past it was recommended, NI's recommended, was because it was ISO compliant with some code.
yes.
But I've been using Karaya, and I'm not an expert. I just do a couple of assertions, and I don't see it slow, but definitely yours it's faster because it doesn't have any of the OOP that handles internally. Yours is like boom, it goes ahead, checks that Boolean comparison, and that's it.
Yep. And there's another unit. I'll share it in the notes. There was another, but yeah, there's another unit tester that's a paid unit tester that somebody made that is ISO compliant. I haven't played around with that either. And yeah, Luis, I can't speak to Kari. I can't even pronounce it. Karia, is that how you pronounce it?
Karaya?
Karaya.
Yeah.
I've never really played around with that. I just looked at it. I'm like, you know what? This is not how I want to work with unit tests. And I already had mine kind of developed. So I'm like, well, I've already been down the road to make it. So I'll just use my stuff. So, yeah, mine's super simple. It's based around speed. You know what I mean? Like, in ease of use. If you need a tester that's like ISO compliant, and there's all these other things that people want out of a unit tester that mine does not do. Like continuous integration and all that kind of other stuff. I mean, I just made mine to work like how I work, and it works for me. You know, will it work for everyone? No. You know what I mean? But I mean, I will post that list. I had someone did a blog post about what the unit testers that were out there, and his kind of take on it. It was really, really good. And I'll post that in the notes. I gotta find it. I wrote it down somewhere, but I'm not gonna look it up right now.
Yeah.
But
Some
they have-
Tiger uses yours for a workshop he has.
Yep.
So I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, he likes, he's like, yeah, this is great to get people into unit testing and just using it. I mean, I've read like if the tool is not super easy to use, if you're like spending a lot of time thinking around with the tool is a problem. You know what I mean? It's got to be fast, easy to use. Because if it's not, no one's going to use it. And I think honestly, that's the problem with unit testing. There's not a lot of good tools out there that are to make it easy and, easy and fast. That's why I made mine. You know what I mean? So, I'm sure there's other unit testers out there, and I'm sure they're getting better and better and better. But that's my take on it. I still use mine. It works for me, So, and in that blog post, he included mine, and he had his thing. Hey, Dan's is really fast, but it's really, really basic. And if that's all you need, great. But if you want some of these other things, you might want to look at other spots. So, that's that. So, so.
And most of the times you only need to evaluate pass or fail. So, I mean, you can get crazy if you want to, but in my case, I'm a beginner in unit testing, and that's all I'm doing right now, just Boolean comparisons. And
yeah, I found if you create a lot of unit tests, like when I first got into this, I was like, oh, I'm going to test everything, and maintaining that code was it was awful. So I dropped it because I'm like, I'm not going to maintain this code anymore. I mean, this is just a pain. So I've kind of stepped back, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to only unit test like classes and public methods and stuff like that. Stuff that because I have to test it anyway, right? So I mean, to add this little framework to it, it's not that hard because I got to build. I got to build test VIs anyway. So just adding this harness around it, and then adding a tool that looks at it, that's all personally that I need. So it just kind of helps me manage these tests and runs them automatically for me. So, because I'll have this method, this method, this method. Okay, after running all these, methods, does it produce the expected result? And that works for me. It's like, okay, cool. But there's all kinds of books on test-driven development and all that kind of stuff. And I don't do test-driven development. I do test, but a lot of times I'm like prototyping and I don't really know, like, I can't even write a test. So the test-driven or the development is an idea that you write the test before you write the code.
Yeah.
What I find sometimes is like, well, I don't even know like what I want to do or how I want this to work. So I'm sitting here prototyping and, because I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't know, how it's going to work. So I don't know. I can kind of see it. I think just the moral of the story is, you want to write tests, but, you don't want to write too many tests where that code base becomes so large, it becomes unmaintainable. But you have to write some tests, to make sure to validate your code. So I mean, it's a balance. I have found, and it's, you're not going to find all the bugs. I mean, you can, but the amount of effort, to find everything, does that warrant, that spending that kind of time and money on the project? It's like,
right.
If it's for like some critical thing, well then yeah, maybe, if it's just for some little data logger, hey, I mean, you're going to miss stuff. I mean, I've never made a piece of software that didn't have bugs. I don't, I'm a human, so you do the best you can, but it's just a tool that's out there. So
yeah.
Hey Dan, there was a chat question.
oh,
what did you use for the to write the help for the unit tester? I know you mentioned it.
Yeah, it's called Help and Doc. It's awesome. So it's based on, I haven't found anything cooler than the Microsoft.chm files, and Microsoft seems to be moving away from that. But this is a paid product, but it's only like $100 or something like that. It's really cheap. And it's awesome. So it's you can, it's just great. So it just creates that help for you. So I'll open the AST help here.
While you're pulling that up, I'll say there was a couple seminars on the architect, the GLSA on Monday, Tuesday on documentation. There was at least 2.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
There's a couple LabVIEW tools that people have been making to help you auto document create these.
Yeah,
so they're worth looking into.
Hey,
yeah,
Dave,
I saw that one. That or the one I saw. I don't. There's only one that I saw that I think maybe you're referring to. I could be wrong. What was it called?
I think that the one you're mentioning wasn't the one from Hampel Software Engineering,
Something like that. It was like.
but that one only works for DQMH, doesn't it? Or it also
Maybe
works for other.
My takeaway,
No.
I saw it. I saw a video on it, and it generates like a ridiculous amount of documentation. And I don't know if you'd ever. I think it generates too much. So this is from a user documentation standpoint, and creating help files is a lot of work. So like if someone wants me to create a help file for them, I ding them for it, But I mean, it's not like an enormous amount of money, but it does take. It's very time consuming. This tool definitely helps. I mean, it's a WYSIWYG, and you can put stuff in, and it's just awesome. And you just hit the generate help, and it has all it's just great stuff. The one I saw, I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, it had like it worked with DQMH. I think it worked with Actor Framework, but it would tell you all your modules and all this stuff. You still had to write all the VI descriptions and all that kind of stuff. And I'm looking at that going, so really all that thing is for my usefulness that I gathered from it. If I just spent like an hour generating a block diagram, I'm done. I mean that's just what I do. For my software stuff, I'll just generate a block diagram, and then I try to make my code self-documenting. So I probably could be better, but but I'm only writing it for me. So I only have to write it so I can understand it. And that's my kind of 2 cents on code documentation. If you're writing for other people now, that use case definitely changes. I mean, you need to create more documentation so people can understand what you're doing and fill in the blanks. I can post that here. I'll write that down. I think I know. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I don't remember which one it was. I'm trying to look at the stuff. But I know that the tool they were talking about during the actual presentation, multiple came up during the talk. And so you may not see it in the slides just by glancing through it, but during the talk, other ones were brought up. And some of them would basically pull, some of them built off of the concept of if you add your tooltips to your user interface, if you add, descriptions to your VIs, then it would pull all that information where so that you don't have to redo it, right? And yeah, it's not the end all, but the idea is that you didn't have to rewrite what you already had created. What you would want to do by documenting your VIs when you went through, it would pull all that out into like a help manual. So
yeah, I can't remember what. I think it was like an HTML document or something. But yeah, there's PDF or something like that. But the one I saw, I can't remember. I have to look it up. I can't remember. But yeah, it essentially put that all together in one document for you. I was talking with Sam about that. He's like, that would be really useful to if you were looking at someone else's code, and you had no idea where to start. You just run that tool, and it would kind of tell you like all the modules and stuff. But I mean, I've never seen I've never come across code that was well written or well documented, in my opinion. If they're calling me, I mean, you know, if everything's working and running great, they're not going to call me. So I don't see the nice stuff. But,
I found my screenshot from the presentation.
oh, okay.
The one I was looking to was LabVIEW auto documentation.
Let's see if I can find it.
And here, well, it's a screenshot, so I'm gonna have to type this out.
Yeah, this is an add-on tool.
Yeah.
It was very new. Let's see. Sam was talking about it.
Mine is Chris Celio.
Software tools. Docker. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, Insta coverage is the paid one. Yeah, that one looks interesting.
Yeah, for the and actually the Insta coverage, I think they gave a presentation too. They have a portion that's free.
Okay.
Yeah,
theirs looked really good. I mean, it looked really like developed, and I'd have to research. I don't know where this.
So I'm sending a link in the chat.
Okay.
It's actually to a Bitbucket wiki, and the point of the chat was like they used it. And now I'm remembering more. It was like creating auto documentation that went to Bitbucket, but I think it was talking about like creating the tool that would, you know, support Word, PDFs, like different formats, or even it might do it right now. But his whole point was, you know, what they were doing was the code like auto would create and post it right out to Bitbucket. But
yeah. And that's the software documentation side. I mean, user documentation you have to create. I don't think you create a tool to make it look pretty and understandable, you know. But yeah, for software documentation, that looked very interesting. You know, I haven't. I'll research that. Yeah, I'll take that chat. It'll be so fun and exciting. Thanks, Dave. I really appreciate that. Okay. Okay, so moving on. So OpenG, I'm a huge OpenG fan. There's all kinds of cool stuff in here. It's kind of interesting, like over the years, NI has added a lot of these OpenG functions to native LabVIEW, so it's kind of funny to, you know, as over time they've, you know, but it's just a lot of great stuff. I mean, probably the coolest thing that I personally like is creating ini files. So in here, there's this OpenG variant configuration. And so you can, what it does is it takes a cluster and creates an ini file. So I'll just do that real quick. So, junk. Whoa. Gotta get rid of my junk stuff. Okay. Okay. So what's really cool about this is, so if I have a cluster, make sure I name it. So I can throw in here anything I want.
Well, while you're doing that, yeah, I use this too. Luis, this looks familiar. All our configuration was based off of it.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. So I'm just gonna show
Pretty
this
cool.
really quick.
There are some funky ways certain things get displayed, just as an FYI for people if they use it. I think arrays inside of here get displayed weird. So I've actually taken some of the VIs and then, you know, modified them a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't had a problem with the arrays. The arrays, it just gives you a header of how many elements are in the array, and then it does that, which, I mean, you know, it works for me. But yeah, I could see where if it's not like purely, if that's not what you want, you know, I could see that. So I'm just gonna run this. Hopefully it works.
The one you're talking about, I'm okay with. There's another combination where it shows up all in one line. I don't remember if it's maybe an array inside of a cluster or something, but something weird. Sometimes you can get it to show up differently. So.
Okay. So here's the ini file that it created. So it, you know, the section name is the cluster name, and then it, you know, has all these fields. What I found maintaining backwards compatibility using this method. So like over time, excuse me, if you add fields, it'll still work, which is awesome. Or remove them, you know. So it's been a great tool to create these ini files, and it's human readable. So I've had customers, oh, I want to change something, and they change it in the ini file, or you know, you can come in here and do it. But yeah, I really like this toolkit. I've seen, I tried to do XML for a while, but I didn't really care for that. I know some people use databases. I don't know, the simplicity of this is so great. I haven't had a problem with it. And what else have people used that I know of? I'm sure there's a lot of other use cases, but for configuration files, I haven't found anything better than this. Oh, JSON file.
MGI's read write anything.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like
pretty similar to this though.
Yes.
Yeah, I like, yeah, here's the MGI stuff. I prefer the OpenG thing. Yeah, MGI's got stuff. It's just a personal preference for me.
Yeah, I think with the read write anything, I've managed to mess up files by manually editing them, whereas apparently it's not as big of an issue in the OpenG one.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, I just like all the tools that you have in here too. Like you can write to the section, you know, which is great. It's just, you know, read key, write key. I mean, it's just really cool. So this has everything I've ever needed out of this, and I've been using this for years and years and years. And I really like it. So I haven't found anything better yet. But I mean, that's just my personal preference. So yeah, a lot of this is opinion, by the way. So this isn't like gospel. This is just like what I use and what I found useful. Are there better things out there? Probably, you know, but this is just what I have found and used over the years and liked. So you know, this is completely subjective. All right. What else is cool? So OpenG, they also have like this comparison data change. NI has one, but it works a little bit differently. You know, sometimes I use that one, sometimes I use this one. That's what I use. Yeah, the enum stuff, like get strings from enum, get set strings. That's really useful.
Oh, that's useful.
Yeah, it's just the trigger I've used a lot. You know, I've used this before they had that conditioning. Auto indexing, and I now has this natively, but this is what I used to do. You know, just a lot of cool array tools in here. So just a lot of good stuff in here. You know, you can kind of just explore, and OpenG's been around for years and years and years, and it's good stuff. So, you know, that's what I use. All right, moving on. So the system control toolkit, I'm a big fan of system controls. That's what I use on my VIs. So there's a package called System Control Toolkit. It's right here. You can, and most of this stuff you can get on the VI Package Manager. If you're not familiar with that, the VI JKI VI package manager. It comes already installed with LabVIEW and has all these different tools that you can install on your machine. So here's the Asd Unit Tester. So I put it on the tools network. So, you know, like all kinds of stuff. It's just kind of overwhelming with stuff that's out there. So, and it's getting bigger every day. So the system controls, I really like them. You know, they just have a lot of cool buttons, and you know, I mainly use it for the buttons because I'm a big system fan. So if you're not familiar with system controls, they take on, so they change with the operating system. So it's kind of cool. So like down the road, if you make a system control and there's Windows 11, I don't know what the next version is, but let's just pretend it's Windows 11. That it'll change to kind of look like that, and with the new operating system. And I just like they're simpler and cleaner in my opinion. So that's what I personally use. And this, I have the system native in LabVIEW. You know, these are what I go to all the time. So I don't really, you know, I've never used the silver. I use some modern. I haven't used NXG stuff yet. Classic, if you want to create your own system buttons, it's in here somewhere. Yeah, right here. But and then, you know, I've made my own over the years. You know, so mine's not polished, so I haven't really released it. But you know, I'm a big fan of the system control toolkit. So it's a lot of good stuff in here. You know, just
For
just
that,
really good stuff. Yep.
yeah, for that I like to use the JKI flat icons.
Yep.
I don't know how to create like professional UIs, you know, but I try to mimic whatever I like for example, the applications in Android or in iOS that they all look flat. I always try to imitate that, and the JKI flat icons, that's another good option.
Yep. Yeah, so they came out with that, what, a year or two ago, right?
A year ago.
Yeah, fairly new. So I mean, that's got a lot of stuff in it. You know, so yeah, I looked at it. I prefer the system stuff. That's just me though. Here's the flat UI control.
Yeah,
JCAD's got all kinds of stuff. So you know, but yeah, there's many user interface libraries out there. You know, it's just great. So I personally prefer the system, but that is a personal preference. There's tons out there. You know, kind of you can just explore and see what's out there and pick one that works for you. So that's what I use. The cluster toolkit, I haven't used this. I used this more a few years ago than I do now. But this is kind of cool. It kind of has like you can like you can index a cluster element by name, which is kind of cool. You can get or set cluster element. It's just kind of neat. A lot of good tools to manipulate clusters, which I found neat. So there's some cool stuff in there. They made this bigger. So yeah, it's cool. I had a project where I needed to kind of manipulate stuff inside a cluster, and I used this toolkit, and it worked great. So
that sounds like a way I can get around an issue I have right now. If you can dynamically set the name, you can dynamically get the value of a specific cluster by name, or index or item in the cluster, I guess, by name.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's get or set cluster element, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah, because right now what I had to do is I wanted to be able to I was dynamically doing something, and I can just add items to the cluster, and I wanted to be able to, you know, have it continue to work. The problem is when I populate the cluster, I had to do like an array to cluster.
Yep.
And you have to set the size of the array that you're building. So if I add an item, I have to go back and change the code to increase the array size.
Mm.
It's not
I
fun.
didn't know that toolkit exists.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so this is, so for example, I'm just gonna search for a name. It's gonna return the index of the element.
Oh, cool.
Get or set cluster element. So indices, so I'll just make this an array. Oh, wait, was it polymorphic? It might be. Oh. There's probably a better way to do this too. And then, let's see. Is this a variant? Yep. This weird? Darn it. Anyway. Oh. Yeah. Right. Well, anyway. I don't know. I haven't played around with this for a while, but there's a lot of cool. I've used it in that way of like, yeah, get cluster element by name. You know, it's neat. It's insert in the cluster, all kinds of cool stuff. So I'd have to, yeah, index cluster. It's a lot of cool stuff. So I've used it in the past. I haven't used it in a few years. That's why I'm kind of rusty on it. But you know, that's that. So yeah, give it a try. It's cool. I like it. So the
Sounds like
MGI. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh. Sounds like a more complete version of the variant tools in the OpenG libraries.
It might be.
Because the OpenG has a bunch of similar stuff, but it's harder to figure out.
It
than
is, yeah,
just
yeah.
code.
So I wanted, yeah, because I remember looking in here and doing stuff, and I couldn't do, you know, what I wanted to do at that particular time. Yeah, it's a set cluster element by name. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in here too. Yeah, so you know, yeah, I couldn't do it with the OpenG stuff, but that was many years ago. I can't remember. But I don't know. I was like, I found this toolkit and it solved my problem, and I always keep it in my back pocket. I'm like, oh, this is great stuff. The next toolkit I'm going to talk about, I don't personally use it much, but a lot of people use it, and that's the MGI More Good Ideas toolkit. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Really cool stuff. I just haven't, I don't know, I just, for some reason, I just haven't found, like the averaging stuff's really cool. I think I've used that before. You know, there's another, yeah, application. I found like what did I find? Just, yeah, defer panel updates. I mean, this is the classic,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you're having user interface problems, there's a great one to call. So I mean, just a lot of good stuff in here, more good ideas. So, and that's on the JKI package manager. Hidden gems in the VI library. I haven't used this much. The string stuff looks really cool. I haven't used it yet, but it's another package. I think Darren Nattinger, this is kind of his like super secret. These are all native LabVIEW, by the way. This is just, you know, stuff that NI has used but hasn't really released on the palettes. So I mean, all this stuff is in native LabVIEW. All this is just kind of exposing it to you. So that's what's kind of interesting about this toolkit. So a lot of cool stuff. The system style DAC controls, I mean, that's just another, like the system, you know, I'm a big fan of the system stuff, and here's the, you know, just the system style DAC, you know, channels and stuff. And that's kind of just what I use. I have a link to that. So like for the physical channel. think I have some hardware. So, you know, it just looks nice and system-y, which I like. That's just my personal preference. LabVIEW Oop Assist. Okay. Just one. Okay. So this is, so I was playing with when I first got into object-oriented stuff. Yes. Okay. All right, so we got all that. So then I want to create another class, let's say. Class 2. Yep. So what's kind of cool about this is, you know, oh, I want to have this method, you know, also in this class for, and I just want to modify it, you know, maybe, or whatever, you know, making like a dynamic dispatch, and there's another class on top of here, and so I need to, you know, make this unique. But so I can come down here and to LabVIEW Oop Assistant, this is an add-on tool through Lava, it's free. And say clone method. And say, oh, class 2, you know, boom, and it just creates it. Boom. Method 1, done. Oh no. Oh, whoops. That's meant to be. Oh, I know. Where did I put this? Junk. I don't know where I put all this.
You save both classes in the same directory, so
Yeah, I
all
know.
the methods
I'm
are.
trying to like create a new directory. Oh, put it in here. Yep. So you want to save a class in its own directory. That's like number one thing to do. But just to show you. So here's my 2 methods. Boom, boom. So I can, you know, easily, you know, create a copy to start. You know, oh, I want to. That's a dynamic dispatch. Copy it. Put it in the other class. Now I can modify it. You know, I don't have to do all that. It's a great little time saver tool. I really like that. What else? And I haven't really played around with the other stuff that's in here. That's the one I use as the clone method one a lot. So, you know, there's some cool stuff you can check out. But the link's here. So the LabVIEW shortcut menu plugins. So, so if I have this method, okay. So if let's blow this away. Whoops. And then I wanted to move this method to this class. Well, this is a problem because this class is class 1. The icon connector coming in, it doesn't update these guys. So there's a right-click plugin, and I put a link on my website to do that. So I just right-click, say change LabVIEW class, and I can select class 2. And this will work if I select them both. Stephen Mercer just, whoops. Change LabVIEW class 2, done. There's also a way Darren Nadiger had a quick drop way to do this. You know, but you have to remember the shortcut keys, and I'm really bad at that. So, but there's a, just to let you know, there's a quick drop method of doing that exact thing. But I personally prefer the right click thing. It's great. And there's a link on my website. If you just you know, go to this link, it'll show you. And there's all kinds of cool plugins that Stephen Mercer and Stephen Loftus-Mercer and Darren Nadinger have developed. And I haven't played around with them yet. That's just the one that I personally like, but I'm really excited to try the other one. So it's a cool one. So moving on. Code capture tool. I really like this. So I make a lot of specifications. When I do a project, and I do a lot of screen captures. And this tool, you can use it with Snip and Sketch, but Microsoft. But this is kind of cool. This is just a Lava code capture tool, and you can add. And this is it's available for free. You can put on your clipboard the file path or the image. It creates a snippet if you want. It's pretty cool. So if you ever played with a snippet, it's a way to kind of share little dinky things of code. It's really handy when you're posting stuff on the forums and you want some help. So, and you just hit, copy, and then, if I fire up Word, I think it'll take me over. My Word is so old that I need to upgrade it. It's 2007. Still works. Come on. But it's whoops. That's the file path. I want the image. So it just creates a image of the. I don't know why I got a new computer and it does this every time I reboot the weird stuff. So probably need to upgrade it. But here's Word. Boom, down the road you go. So I like it, and then you can just kind of select stuff too, and it'll just do that. And I find it really handy. So that's what I use to kind of create user interface documents, and if I need to copy and paste stuff, and or posting stuff on the forums, I'll use the code capture tool. That's really cool. So this is the Wireframe Progress Bar. There are a ton of Progress Bar stuff out there in the world. It's kind of overwhelming. The one that I kind of like is this Wireframe Progress Bar. So a Progress Bar is a if you're doing something that takes a long time to do, you want to throw up a progress bar to kind of show your user, okay, I'm working on it, and kind of give them what's going on. So this is kind of an object, kind of, it's a neat interface. You have a ton of options. It's what I like about it. There's so many ways to configure your progress bar. It's just really, really cool. So I want to set the range. So in this case, it'd be 0, and I want the max to be, 100, because I'm just going to set it for 100 iterations. And then I want to put a pause. Blah, 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 blah. And then I'm going to update that. So, and then set progress value. And we're going to set it to our iteration. And then I'm going to close it. You can set all kinds, like the name of it, and all kinds of cool stuff. Oops. So, that's what it kind of looks like. So, and there's just all kinds of cool stuff that you can do that. But there's tons of progress bar stuff out there. I mean, MGI, More Good Ideas has one. here's their progress bar. They got all kinds of project bar stuff. You know, I found one over the. It's just, this is the one I prefer. You know, so and it's free, available for free, so it's pretty neat. So that's that. What else?
Since you did this, since you used the OpenG delay, do you know the new stall, LabVIEW native stall?
I've used this guy,
Yeah.
Stall Data Flow. I've seen that. I don't know. I still use the OpenG one.
The benefit of it is the inputs and outputs are dynamic. So I'm assuming the OpenG one you got to put on an air.
Yes.
So that one you can connect to any data.
Yes. Yeah, and that is cool. That is definitely cool. I don't know. I just keep using the OpenG one, but that one is cool. That one is interesting, and it's kind of. I think I tried it for something and it didn't work exactly how I wanted it, but I think I was the one in the wrong than this guy. But yeah, it's a cool. I'm glad they added it. I mean, because it's there was never, you know, you've always had to use this guy because the native LabVIEW one doesn't have any inputs and outputs. So you always have to do, you know, this guy, which is really annoying. You know, so I use this, and so you know, it went from the evolution. You know, this is kind of the evolution. So, and I think More Good Ideas has one in here too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the OpenG one will skip the wait on error, whereas the stall data flow just always waits.
Okay. Yeah, abort wait on a current. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, you know, tools that are out there. You know, it's you know, this is kind of neat. This has been a recent addition, and thinking I can't remember which version this came out, but it's kind of relatively recent. So, but yeah, you know, all these methods work. So it just kind of depends on what you're trying to do and what you want to do and that kind of stuff. So. And the last one, Brian Hoover, who is a Sumload member. I've been using this a lot recently. And so there's this idea out there called creating a variant repository. So it's been around in LabVIEW for years. So you can create a lookup table using variant attributes. So right in here, you can get an attribute and set an attribute. These attributes can be any data type, and it's really fast to look them up. So it's cool. So this variant attribute tool, that's all it does. But it adapts to the input. So it just saves me a little bit of time, you know. So now it's a Boolean. I can name this anything. You know, and so I just like it. It's really clean. It's really neat. It's been working for me. So if I just look at this, that's all it's doing. So here's my variant, Boolean 1 equals true. So and I can get that out really easily. So if I go to a read, again, this is kind of the cool part. I just specify this as a Boolean, boom. Now it's out. I don't have to do the conversion, you know, then just wire in the tag. And then, yep, that's gonna be true, so that's true. Boom. So I like it. I've been using it a lot more in my code. It's been neat. There is a new tools in LabVIEW called maps and sets. That kind of work. Maps are kind of they kind of work like that. But I found the variant attributes is it takes more data types and it works better for me. But just to let you know, there is this map that's got in LabVIEW 2019, I believe. So I looked into it, but it couldn't take any data type. So for what I needed it for, it didn't work. But I mean, it's, you know, it is optimized and fast, and it's native to LabVIEW. So, you know, if you're looking for like a lookup table or something, you know, I'd look, you know, see if map will work or set will work. And then if not, you can use this toolkit if you want, or, you know, you can just use the, you know, low level, you know, set variant attributes, get variant, you know, that's all it is. So, so that's about all I have. I just want to go over tools that I use. Any tools that anybody else would want to share, or your experiences with them, or anything like that?
Like to use the Goop, the global.
Yes.
That one is also very good for setting up methods and changing the class icon and the wire appearance. And there is also an UML diagram tool that you can use to create your classes, and then just use a shortcut to convert that diagram into code. That is one that I use.
That's cool. Yeah, because that used to be a paid product, and then I bought them, and now
I bought it.
And now it's available for free.
Yeah.
For LabVIEW folks. So that's it's GOOP Goop development kit, right, or something like that.
Yeah, I just type Goop in VIPM and it'll open.
Yep, and I Goop development suite. Yeah, that's what you're looking for. So I mean, that's pretty cool. So I haven't played around with it yet. I need to. It's on my list. So
yeah.
There's so many stuff. There's so much stuff out there. I mean, it's kind of overwhelming. You come in here and you're like,
there's a lot of
stuff. So, you know, and this is it's and there's other stuff out there on the forums and stuff that it's crazy. So I mean, it's growing every day. So,
which is good.
Yeah, it is good. So, you know, it's pretty cool. So there's all kinds of, so, you know, like they always say, you know, like try to, you know, if you're working on something or working on like a set of tools, you know, try to see what's out there first, you know, see if, you know, you can't find something that works for you. So, you know, because you never know.
Anyone know of any tools out there that to work with tree control? I think there was something on what you were sharing.
Yeah,
I've developed my own, and I'm thinking about getting it, you know, to try to publish it on the Tools Network. So that was one of those thoughts.
Norm has a toolkit for tree controls.
Yeah, he does. There's a ton of toolkits for tree controls out there.
Because they're not easy to work with.
They're not easy to work with at all.
I think it's on Lava, the Norms.
Yeah, I thought I downloaded that one. I just had a project that I was using tree controls, and see, there's so many of them out there.
Did you talk about JKI's new Project Dragon for managing these toolkits?
I have. Luis talked about it briefly. I have not. I have not seen that. So, if you wanna, we talked about it at the beginning.
Yeah, I was a little late getting in, so I wasn't sure if you talked about it.
I haven't used it yet. I haven't seen it yet.
It's not been released as far as I can see. You can sign up and they'll tell you when it's going to be available.
They gave a presentation on it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's now available. They've posted that presentation unlike all the other ones yet?
I haven't seen that yet. Yeah. So this is Norm's tree control. I can't remember which one I used for the project.
You stopped sharing your desktop.
Oh, I did? Oh. Screen share. Sure. Okay. Here's Norm's toolkit right here that you can download from Lava. So I think that might have been the one I used. But there's all kinds of tree controls out there. Don't develop tree controls on your own. That'd be a nightmare. I did that a long time ago. It sucked. But yeah, the Dragon, I haven't seen that from JKI yet. So I don't know when that's going to be released. I saw the presentations from the GLA Summit will be posted on the LabVIEW wiki. I don't know when yet. They said it's going to take a little bit of time to do that, so but I'll definitely be watching out for that one. So.
Yeah. Some of the UI stuff you guys were talking about earlier reminded me, I actually do have a favorite presentation from the GLA Summit. It was one of the 7x7s by Hope Harrison about a tool they're calling Pain Relief to basically improve working with splitters.
That'd be interesting. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that one is a must-have. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, it allows you to divide. It allows you to divide your front panel, and instead of doing everything manually, you know, putting splitting bars and do all you know, the measurements for putting sub panels and everything. Basically, allows you to have more than one panel. And the pain relief tool, you just put the measurements of the new pain that you want to insert, and it does it automatically.
Is that MGI's or?
No, it is.
She works for MGI?
Shoot.
Oh, is this the pain relief right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because I've heard people use the panel manager. I looked at that and I was like, okay, that's cool. Oh, Hope Harrison. Okay, I'll have to check that out. It uses MGI panel manager. Interesting. Cool. I'll have to check that out.
She is on the MGI team.
Well, that's interesting. Huh. Interesting. That's cool. Cool.
Yeah, one of the cool things she demonstrated was setting a pane to 0 pixels.
So what, you just like
So you don't see it,
yeah, it just
but
pops
it's
up.
there.
Okay.
And you can't directly manipulate it then from the user interface. You have to use the tool to modify it.
Interesting. Okay. Huh. That's interesting. I'll have to check that out. That'd be cool. I like that. That's neat. So I don't if anyone's you know using splitter bars is awesome. I'm a big fan of splitter bars. So you can split your screen and have you know different what I like to use it for is like I'll have graphs. If I fit this control to pane, you know, it'll resize. So pretty slick stuff. So yeah, that sounds. I have to check that out. That's really cool. And I'll post the GLA Summit when they post those links on the LabVIEW wiki. I'll post that on our site. So, any more cool tools that you guys want to talk about? All right.
I got a question for you guys.
Shoot.
It kind of came up with something I asked, but so as you said, some of the tools that didn't exist get integrated into LabVIEW. What's people's opinion on after it does get integrated? What do you do? Do you use the new one? Do you use what you've previously been using, or do you use the one that's now native to LabVIEW for future support potential or something like that reasons? What's your thought?
Just kind of depends. It just depends. I mean, you know, the one you develop is proven, so there's that. You know, but the new one might have a feature in it that wasn't in the one that you had before. So I mean, it just all depends. You know, usually if it's a VI, it's usually really, really simple. You know, so it's not doing, you know, it's not a big change to go to the, you know, if it's native to LabVIEw, usually. You know,
Well, and I guess it's just what is your opinion and what is the other people's opinion? Because it sounds like what you're saying there is, if it's the same functionality, you would prefer to choose the native LabVIEW one than the add-on from OpenG or whoever.
I mean, I would kind of lean, me personally, this is just my opinion, I would kind of lean more toward the LabVIEW one, just because, you know, then it's you're not relying on a, you know, it's being actively supported, right? Because, you know, the OpenG, you know, it's been used for years and years and years, and it's very proven. But, you know, some of these tools, you know, they're not supported anymore. You know, so
that's my opinion too. But I was just wondering what other people thought.
In my case, I have a mixture. To be honest, sometimes I'm still using the weight in OpenG and other functions in OpenG. But sometimes I remember, oh, there is a VIM that I can use, and it's smaller. So have a mixture.
Exactly. You know, I've been using that OpenG weight for years and years and years, and it's just kind of a hard mental shift for me. Like, oh yeah, there's that. No,
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it works a little bit differently, and you know, just kind of looking at it, you know. But yeah, I mean, I like the idea of using native stuff, just so I don't. You know, I usually have to distribute OpenG if people want my source code, which has seemed to work. You know, but I really try to limit. I try to limit the amount of toolkits I use, because it's, you know, I mean, I don't want to use too many, but you know, some of them are really handy. But you don't want to get too crazy, because just managing it all, that can be an issue. So I mean, it's, you know, it's give and take. So that Dragon thing sounds interesting, where you can have, you know, toolkits loaded per project. That is neat. So you could distribute, I'm assuming you could distribute your code with that. You know, that would be neat. So that would be something.
I have a question. So there are some labels in some of the free toolkits in the community. So if you develop commercial applications using those toolkits, you have to keep those labels in the block diagram, or can you delete them? For example, in the JKI state machine, there's a label that says JKI, all the rights, copyright, blah, 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 blah. I usually delete that because, you know,
yeah,
I don't use it, but
I don't think you can legally delete those notices if you're using the
really?
code.
Oh, didn't know that.
I don't know. There was a legal thing that a presentation I saw years ago that people were discussing all the different open source distribution.
But are you distributing the code, or are you distributing the final application?
I am distributing the code to other developers that will maintain that.
Well, then wouldn't you be just linking to those VIs instead of redistributing them? Or you're actually including a copy of those with your code?
The JKI is a template, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
JKI state machine? Or are you talking about like the, oh, okay.
Yeah, the JKI state machine. So if you put the template in there, it comes with a label that says JKI all rights reserved 2018 or 2019, I can't remember. I usually delete that because it takes space in the block diagram. So I
think like the correct answer is that you're not supposed to, because when someone else opens that up, they quote unquote may not know that's JKI, and therefore JKI is not getting the credit for it. But it's based on the actual license that they distributed it under, and I don't know the exact license they're distributing that under.
Yeah, I think that'd be a JKI question, to be honest.
Yeah, seems like templates would be a little more open for thought, because it's generated. It's not, you're just copying their files.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You could actually build your JKI thing up from scratch, because the sub VIs that actually make it work are still have the licensing in them.
And that might be that it's okay, because it might be that the template has that in it, right? And so when the template creates a copy of itself, it includes it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I would ask JKI. I think that would be the. I don't know how all those licenses work.
Licensing's kind of a mess anyways. Aren't you kind of, I don't think many people do it, but aren't you kind of supposed to put a credit for all the OpenG packages you use up in your about screen? As well as powered by LabVIEW?
I know you're supposed to put, I don't know. I looked into it probably 20 years ago. This is, and I know you have to put in, here's mine. So yeah, I put in copyright, national instruments, all rights reserved. They might have changed. This was like 20 years ago. They're like, yeah, you create an executable, you have to put this in here. I'm like, oh, okay. So this might have changed, but yeah, I don't know. You know, I haven't looked into it I probably should look into it again. But yeah, all those licensing are very confusing. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. I know it gets very complicated and legalese, and I don't know. So it's a whole nother topic.
Okay.
Yeah. It almost makes you want to just not do any reuse. Or I should say not use anybody else's reuse.
I know some companies, they can't use reuse for, like, if their companies don't let them use like OpenG, for example. You know, you know, it's because of that issue. So. Any more questions, comments, concerns?
No, I don't have any.
So our next meeting, I got Sam Taggart of SAS Workshops to, he's interested in giving a presentation on Git. So kind of doing a dive into Git, like how that works, how to use it in LabVIEW, all that kind of stuff. So that's probably going to be the first quarter meeting. You know, then we have, you know, the What's New in LabVIEW 2021. And then so we have 2 more slots open. So if anyone wants to give a presentation, please let me know and we'll get you in the queue. So I'll post all this stuff I wrote down. And if I forget something, please, you know, please ding me and let me know. We'll get that up. So that's all I got today, guys. Really nice seeing you. You know, wish we could get together in person, but you know.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep, my pleasure.
Thanks, Dan.
Oh, my
Take
pleasure.
care.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.